So I was looking through my subreddit again today, and I noticed this post again, and I started thinking about it, and I thought, why not? Why shouldn't I make a video just going over this situation? Because this is quite remarkable. That's why this was cross-posted to my subreddit. So I'm gonna take whatever I can get. I've already had CA patch Three Kingdoms in accordance pretty much directly with my critiques. Coincidence or not, up to you to decide. But yeah, once again, this is another victory lap that I'm going to be taking. Just for the record, just so it's documented. So here's the post. This was posted on the Total War subreddit, and it says, "Don't set battle difficulty on very hard or above while playing as primarily melee factions. Worst mistake of my life." And of course, this is alluding to the bullshit hidden difficulty based combat modifiers that completely denature the gameplay in an attempt to have fake difficulty provide challenge to players, which is a really bad way to give your players challenge. And I commented on this saying, 8 months ago, saying this provoked CA shills to push back against me with, "Just don't play on higher difficulties then," and complain about bad AI, not difficulty modifiers, in CA's Discord with YouTube partners. And then when I eventually made the video, I said I was going to be making to have this problem be articulated properly for the first time ever, with examples to illustrate, and that's this video. Why Total War's last success was 8 years ago, 100k views, and look at that, 2-to-1 ratio, likes to dislikes still. It's still not recovered properly. I got brigaded and smeared by hordes of brain-dead Warhammer fanboys that were triggered that I was saying Shogun 2 was better than Warhammer, which it obviously is. Look at the oldest comments on that video and look at the upvote downvote ratio. It's since recovered, but I was getting 10 dislikes for every like at one point. The r/Total War sub is 8 months behind me, and that's good news. So let's look at this post. And bear in mind, this video was getting linked on the Total War subreddit, and people were commenting on the video in agreement sometimes, but most of the time it was really defensive pushback because they don't actually care about the arguments. They never will. They're not there to be reasonable or to consider arguments or to find out the truth. They just see a video title and knee-jerk. And especially when the video has been posted in a way that already slants the narrative, controls the narrative, they will just become defensive and get butthurt and turn up in your comments, posting comments that get filtered, that you can scroll through entire walls of when you go to your filtered comments section, because, as I've said, shithole sub with shithole player base. So let's go through this and see how they are today in April of 2021. Because yeah, I was playing Troy when it launched and I was really not impressed. I had big problems with it, and I identified quite quickly that a lot of the issues that I was having came down to these hidden modifiers. Because, come on, I'm 29, I'm a serious gamer. I'm only going to be playing a game on the hardest difficulty. It doesn't matter if it's in early access, launch day, or years after launch. I'm obviously going to be taking on the intended challenge, the greatest intended challenge. I've been doing it my whole life without any issues. It's not difficult for me. I understand how games are made to be played. I can intuit quite easily where the challenge exists and how to overcome it, get past it. I can pick up a game and usually crush it on the hardest difficulty on my first try, like I did with 2013 when Bioshock Infinite came out, and I played it on that hidden difficulty and still won it, beat the game quite easily in a good time. So games are formulaic, and you can usually see what the challenge is supposed to be quite quickly. before you even have time to lose, you can figure out what the challenge is and how you would get past it. So that's what I've always done, and I'm only ever going to play a game on the hardest difficulty. So I did that with Troy, and the fake difficulty that they were using was absurd. It was just ludicrous, to the extent that heavy spears lost 7-1 against themselves. So yeah, of course I'm going to point out, I'm going to make a video explaining how bad this is, especially after I've already brought it up in the partner Discord, and I've just had ludicrous pushback from shills that are just trying to bootlick, and the developers themselves give no acknowledgement of merited critique. So yeah, of course I'm going to make a fucking video and blow this shit wide open and complain about it, and hopefully see less of it in the future. Of course I'm going to fucking do that. So yeah, I got, as I said, what was it I said again? I got fucking brigaded, smeared, just butthurt fanboys plastering my comment sections with bullshit. But let's have a look at how they are here. So this is the same group of people. Let's see how they respond to this. So it's like a meme. It's a light-hearted meme way of raising the issue. Isn't this why you set campaign difficulty to very high and leave battle difficulty at normal? That way you have more armies to fight and still have a fair fight in battle. Yeah, this guy gets it. See, this is sensible, and this is what you would do if you were going to try and just work with the problems with the way the game's designed. So you're taking on challenge, you're putting on very high, and then there's a discrepancy because you're leaving the battle difficulty at normal. So you want to be challenged, but you don't want to deal with the fake difficulty that ruins the gameplay. So this guy is sensible, and he's bringing up a workaround, basically. And yep, this guy gets it. And then someone brings up Shogun 2 quite quickly. I'm not sure what he's saying though. Battle difficulty should never have been based off of stats, it should have been AI. Yep, of course. CA shooting themselves in the face by leaving the battle difficulty settings as they are, in my opinion. Yep. So this is the complete opposite of what I was dealing with 8 months ago. So, wow, how things have changed. And when my video was getting linked, there was pushback. There are threads. In fact, some of them have been deleted by the mods, but there were threads where some people were in agreement, but usually it was just people getting butthurt at the suggestion that Warhammer was critically flawed in a way that Shogun 2 wasn't. That's much more difficult. Current battle difficulty system is an embarrassment at best, lol. I agree with you. They might change them soon. Wow. Don't know why he's saying that based on, but make better AI. Now they're talking about the difficulties with the complexity of designing AI. Talking about StarCraft, talking about Blizzard. They're still just talking about how difficult it is to design an actually challenging AI on the battlefield. Oh, look at this. They're talking about removing supply lines. Oh man, that bullshit. Yeah, I wonder if I could find the threads that link my video to see the pushback that I was getting there for this suggestion. The fake difficulty, because that's all I was advocating pretty much. Removing the fake difficulty and using a system like Shogun 2's. You can see it at the very end of the video. It's very unfortunate that they decided to just abandon meaningful gameplay and real authentic challenge that the player can respond to in a way that's virtuous, ambitious. Shogun 2 AI is completely idiotic, just have more range, no charge every time. What the fuck? Shogun 2 AI is the best so far. Troy had a good launch AI, but that's just not good enough when you have single entities that ridicule AI by their very nature. And they're talking about multiplayer, so this always happens in these conversations. People always try and pivot to multiplayer If you say that Warhammer's bad and then you say Shogun 2 is challenging, people will pivot to multiplayer Warhammer, which is a zero budget game mode that no one cares about. Anything to preserve their preconceptions, pretty much. Look at this cringy argumentation now. League of Legends, my god, look at they're just talking about all these different games. I mean, these are not even the designers that have to figure out solutions to this. These are just fucking randoms. Armchair game designers here, just speculating about difficulties of design challenges. What's the point of even going above normal battle difficulty if you're just going to cheese it with full range units? Yeah. Yeah, good question. It isn't that range is powerful, it's that melee is pretty much useless and very hard legendary. A big problem is that even your elite infantry will find themselves being beat by decent enemy infantry. Oh man. Talking about spams, this shit is just cringy. My god, it's just absurd how conversations about spam happen so easily when we're talking about Warhammer. All these refuges, all these paths that the conversation always goes down. Hard battle, very hard campaign, best setting. Hard battle. Marauders barely beat swordsmen on normal. Don't know what that means. I honestly question the level of intelligence of any player who sets the game to the harder difficulties and then complains about the game becoming unfair. Yeah, and then of course, this is a really stupid comment and it got 11 upvotes. And then someone immediately explains, some of us want to have a more challenging battle experience, but wish that didn't come at the expense of making a large portion of the unit roster just suck. As it is, you have the option of having a less than optimal army or just cheesing. I'd rather that all of my units had a bit of a nerf on hard, very hard battle difficulty, so that more balanced army compositions were more viable. So this is perfectly sensible. The whole point of playing these games, real-time tactics, real-time strategy, it's sad that I have to explain this to this person. I mean, it just shows how, well, 11 upvotes, a comment as embarrassing as this getting 11 upvotes. The whole point of RTT, RTS, is that you're thinking about tactical and strategic aspects of the game. That's meant to be the stimulation that gives you the dopamine that makes it a worthwhile endeavour. That's why you're sitting there. You're trying to think about tactics that you can use. You're trying to think on the fly, improvise, how to navigate challenge. The point of games is challenge. Overcoming it is the satisfaction. A challenge is simulated and then you overcome it for satisfaction. That's why people sit playing games for hours. That's why we pay game designers to think up satisfying ways to overcome meaningful challenge. And that's why you buy those games, because you want to get what they produce from their expertise. A meaningful challenge that you can overcome with satisfaction. And then this person says this: I honestly question the level of intelligence of any player who sets the game to the harder difficulties and then complains. It's because they want more from the game, and the game is failing to give it to them. They want more game, not more bullshit. Really embarrassing that this got 11 upvotes. Shithole subreddit. Then play normal. So, yep, the thought terminating cliche. Someone gives a perfectly sensible response. The only response that should have been provided to something as dumb as this, and he just gets a flippant thought terminating cliche for it. The trouble is that often you want a harder experience, but not a distorted experience. It's really frustrating when your options are something too easy and something less fun. Yeah, so this is a complaint about unit differentiation, which is objectively inferior when you put the difficulty up. It cripples, it denatures the game. The whole point of having different units in the game is that they give different options, which when they come together in a battlefield gameplay environment gives complexity that's interesting. So this is describing that the differentiation between the units is reduced because some units are just taken out of the equation completely. So entire dimensions of the gameplay are just X-sized. They're gone. AI difficulty buffs should punish the player for making mistakes, not a certain playstyle. Exactly. It should be more intelligent. That's what it ultimately comes down to. It should be more ruthless in exploiting mistakes, lapses in your attention, your judgment, your decision making. And this here, a flat 20% increase to AI melee is fake difficulty. Yeah, he's got it. This punishes the player for making mistakes while not making a certain playstyle unusable. Yep. So he's kind of got the idea here, or they, he, she, they, whatever. Just make the counters even more severe than they already are. Yeah, and this is a bit of a workaround. This suggestion here is a bit of a ham-handed workaround, possibly, yeah. This would be better than what we have right now. So this is just exacerbating the consequence of mistakes, a system like this, what's being suggested here. So the bonus versus cavalry from spears would be multiplied by the AI. So you kind of have a system like this in Shogun 2 because I'm pretty sure there's hidden modifiers that affect engagements where katanas, it provides a hard counter dimension to the gameplay. So Katana Samurai and Yaru Samurai with the same stats, I think Katana Samurai might always win because of a hidden multiplier that affects the engagement. It might be down to animations because you can sometimes see even a unit of light cavalry with bad stats can quite decisively counter a unit of katanas, and you even see animations kick in that indicate that. Like the Katana Samurai will freeze with their sword above their head and charge and be impaled by the Yari of the light cavalry, so it seems like there's a bit of a hard counter system. So if that was to be exaggerated, even if it is exaggerated in a one-sided way by giving the AI more of a hard counter than the player, then it wouldn't affect the good decision making, and good decision making and good gameplay would remain mostly viable and intact, which it isn't with flat modifiers like this. 20% increase to melee on hard difficulties makes melee combat pointless. Exactly, yeah, this is what I've always said. First one to say it, more or less. Well, first one to be vehement about it and bring it into the spotlight, the forefront of discourse, yep. Not to be rude, but melee can definitely be very effective on very hard battle difficulty. No. Effective compared to what? You're getting fucked. You're eating modifiers. The only buff that AI should get in battle is morale. Even this would be better, because it would make your movements more careful, and it would give the AI more reign with its manoeuvring and movements. Yeah, Warhammer 3, if it has this shit, oh my god, I think people are already getting tired of this bullshit, so they're gonna hate it. It's gonna just be the same bad challenge being provided to the player if they do the exact same thing in Warhammer 3. Same shit, different day. Unit caps, yep, so this is talking about systems that incentivize composition. Medieval 2 had that to an extent, I remember, with unit recruitment pools. You all need to learn how to play LOL, I never understand these posts. Yeah, this is obviously really bad Dunning-Kruger here. It's kind of ridiculous to think that the way CA balances higher difficulties is basically just removing the mechanics of Total War for the AI and making the only way to win being to basically just grind every unit into oblivion with range, magic, or single entity spam. It is, isn't it? It is ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah. Like, at some point, you're not playing Total War Warhammer 2 as much as you're playing Total War single entity spam, magic, and artillery hammer 2. Like, core parts of Total War are different types of infantry, flanking, cavalry, and morale. But on the harder difficulties, basically every unit is quasi-unbreakable unless you're playing Malagor, lol. Don't know what that means. But he sounds sensible, they sound sensible. More like, don't set battle difficulty above normal ever, don't really feel like getting my butt kicked by a Skaven slave unit or something, lol. So he's probably talking about some shittier unit that gets buffed to being way stronger. You never set the battle difficulty to anything above normal. Melee units are amazing in this game, why would you intentionally make them suck? Well, that's what the developers did. All we're doing is trying to get a challenge from our games and make fun for ourselves, but they do that with the way they've decided to try and give us challenge. So it's not us that have done this. We can't change the nature of the game, only the developers can do that. It's up to them to figure out. That's what their job is. They're meant to give challenge to the player, so it's not us that are doing this. We just click buttons in the game that's given to us to try and find fun, and we get let down. Look at this. I hate these pivots to talk about AI. Shogun 2 already succeeded with this issue 10 years ago. It didn't have... That's 5 TikTok cycles, Moore's Law cycles ago. 2 to the power of 5. That's like 30 or 60 times the computational power or something like that ago that we had Shogun 2. Its AI was designed with a tiny fraction of the computational power that we have today, and it provided a challenge that still remains some of the most challenging Total War AI we've ever had. So this is all just avoiding talking about the actual issue. It's just making excuses. They already built an AI that gave challenge and found a way to preserve the gameplay that they designed when they give the challenge to the player through difficulty settings. CA really needs to overhaul that shit. As far as I can remember, Total War's difficulty settings have always been a joke. Is giving the AI cheats really the best they can do? Well, Shogun 1 did have this as well, and a lot of games have done this, and you can quite quickly sort RTT/RTS games into 2 categories, good or bad, depending on whether they manage to implement decent difficulty. Because I remember I would play Red Alert 2, and the engagements would never become distorted and broken, but what would happen is that the AI would spam out way more stuff, so they would get money cheats. And that's something Age of Empires 2 would do as well. AI would get money and just spam loads of units, and you would have to overcome a numerically superior opponent with tactics and the game mechanics that the game gives you to do that. You just have to wield the gameplay mechanics and systems and elements more adeptly to overcome a superior opponent, and that's where the fun is in the game. That's where the fun is in all these games, the real-time tactics games, real-time strategy games. And if you can't even use infantry because they've disproportionately nerfed it, then yeah, game is just shit. It's just a broken game with entire aspects of it cut off, closed off. Talking about the AI, and that would be better. Imagine if easy difficulty was like a toddler, and then when you get up to normal or hard or very hard or legendary, you approach the AI that they managed to achieve with Age of Empires 2, the definitive edition or the remaster, where it actually is playing legitimately. It's just an extremely efficient, extremely ruthless AI. Yep, so overall, this is a decent comment thread now in 2021. People here seem to be addressing, acknowledging the problem. There's even people here talking about Shogun 2. And you do see occasional comments that get upvotes that are just dumb, but things are better than they were 8 months ago when this suggestion... If you were to juxtapose this situation here with Shogun 2, these people 8 months ago would have all just been extremely butthurt. So let's have a look at the comments. 2-1 upvotes. So this is what I do here. I am making this video in the context of Warhammer being at the forefront of Total War, and I am obviously alluding to Shogun 2 here. Just from the title alone you can figure that out. So I'm saying that Shogun 2 succeeded where every game since, including Warhammer, has failed, and 2,000 dislikes, and this was at 90% upvotes for a long time, 90-95%. The sheer scale of the problem. 7KD advantage for AI on my second channel, absolutely wretched. Yep. So let's have a look at the comments. Let's filter... No, let's just go down to the oldest ones. So when I upload the video, a lot of the comments are from my subscribers, and they're all perfectly sensible. But then, after I think like 18 hours or just over a day, I think this video started to get linked in some real shitholes. And yeah, it just got inundated with butthurt Warhammer fanboys who were pushing back against it in a way that you notice they're not doing anymore. And remember, a lot of those the most butthurt comments aren't even visible because they've been filtered, because they're full of shit, just absolute shit, and they're only visible when I go to filtered comments and review them. And I showed some scroll-throughs of those comments for some of my videos where I was going over the whole situation, encompassing how bad this situation is with the Total War community being rotten, and that shithole subreddit being such a shithole. Yeah, look, talking about Warhammer as you'd expect. They couldn't just take the point, they couldn't just acknowledge it, just like the point couldn't just be taken and acknowledged in the Discord with partners and CA, because that's what that Discord was for, partners, to give us early access and help us do our YouTuber thing, which is in their interests. And they didn't really care about feedback, really. I didn't see any, and what I saw after I left confirmed that. Like, I've heard from other people that they just don't give a shit about feedback, really. Maybe things have changed since then, but 8 months ago, yeah, CA they couldn't give a shit less about feedback from players. Definitely not their best ones, because it's not useful to them. It doesn't help them make games that sell more copies. They're not interested in making... They weren't interested... nothing's changed, surely, but they were not interested at all in making a better game that holds... that pushes the genre to better places. And of course you see this being confirmed from people like Pixelated Apollo that are fine with stating in no uncertain terms that Total War's just turned into a money-making fucking cash cow. It's just prostituted out. Oh man, that's a lot of comments. Surely we're getting through... Yeah, look at all these fucking Warhammer fanboys now, Jesus Christ. They're not even acknowledging the arguments in the video. That's something a lot of people noticed. None of the comments acknowledge the arguments. They're not addressing the actual issue. It was as if I had not made any arguments. I had not articulated any contentions whatsoever. They're just not acknowledging it. They're just turning up to be fanboys and defend their little toy. It's just really pathetic. It reflects... It has absolutely no implications for the merits of my arguments, how right I am, how well I made my case. all it does is demonstrate a low caliber of person and an unwillingness to even engage meaningfully. Alright, we're at the bottom finally. That was 2,500 comments, my god. So these are my subscribers. First comers, yep. Total War veterans aren't the target anymore. So a lot of really good comments here. Like, I've referenced some of these. My Laconian swordsman lost a fight with javelin men that had no ammo. I just quit the game after that. So it's I couldn't possibly be confirmed, vindicated any harder than here. And then, doesn't that sound familiar? When Marauders lose to state troops. Look, I just quit the game. So this guy just fucking gives up on the game after coming face to face with the issue brought up in the video. This guy makes a Family Guy meme that's lighthearted and gets 3,000 upvotes. So I'm right. I'm obviously right. This is a problem. It's got 3,000 upvotes on the shithole subreddit, and it's got one of the first comments on my video is someone saying that they just quit the game, they just stopped playing, which is the last thing that you want as a game developer if you're trying to make games. The last thing you want is for players to needlessly quit the game. That means that your game's failed for that person. It's a failure. It's causing frustration, which is the opposite of what it's supposed to do. And it does it reliably. It's all about money now. Art is dying. What a legend. Yep, I really appreciate Pixelated Apollo piping up and confirming what I'm saying. Something obviously really rubbed him the wrong way, as it has with me. I really dislike it, and we're not the only ones. There's quite a lot of people that have piped up that I never really would have expected to. So it's good to see it. That's one of the little beacons of hope that I have as someone in this arena, because there's definitely been a bit of a, what would you even call it, a brain drain. Like, there's been a distillation of shit in Total War in terms of the players, the player base, the YouTubers, streamers. Like, the quality has been, it's what you'd expect. As the quality of the games goes down, so does the quality of everything associated with the games. Total War's such a shit place. The hard difficulty setting makes it so you have to cheese the AI. In Warhammer, the cheese goes to insane levels when you play Siege. Yep. So this is all just vindication, agreement. People even corroborating my arguments. Like, they understand arguments, they are in agreement. They offer their own testimonies to confirm what I'm claiming. So, yep. And then, yep, this is all still subscribers, but let's scroll up, and yep, still subscribers, still a lot of subscribers. So let's get the shit. Yeah, see this here? Not subscribed to me, never seen it before, no idea who this is. It's a goddamn mess and feels the full force of my criticism. So he's not acknowledged the argument, he's read the title, and he's gotten himself butthurt over a video title, and he's commented. Look at this shit, look at these shit comments. Not acknowledging the video whatsoever, look, just, there's no acknowledgement. So it's a Kafka trap. Shitpost comment, I respond pointing out it's a shitpost, and then getting butthurt. And this is before I've been dragged and smeared on the shithole subreddit, so this is just someone coming over to be a annoying little fuck. Yeah, look at that, look, talking about money, fucking hell, talking about money. My sales. So, subscribers are down here, right? And then now it starts to turn into butthurt randoms. Do AI archers not get a ridiculous amount of missile damage bonuses? They do get some, because they suck at that. 2 different units, charge them into the melee with them. Yep, they do get bonuses, but nah, it's not ridiculous and it isn't even decisive. It's a problem and it's bad, but just don't play on hard then and stop crying. See, look, it's shifting. It's just a reframing of the issue, like trying to make it about me. It's avoiding the issue. It has nothing to do with me, nothing I do. As I say here, the described problems are designed into the game and cannot be fixed by the actions of the end user. See, look at this. Just imagine if you lift this comment and drop it on this comment thread here. See how great this is now? I can just screenshot all of these butthurt Warhammer fanboy comments and just dump them on this fucking thread here and see how well these comments age now. He's probably one of these people that have come around. That's the great thing about this. 8 months ago I was right, and I was articulating it and raising awareness about it, and now it gets memed. And of course I'm going to sit here and laugh about it. I'm finally going to have my laugh. Damn right. Because I've had my laugh about 3K's Order of Battle being a goddamn mess. And now I'm going to get to have my laugh when my main contention with the brokenness of modern Total War is slapped right on the front of the shithole subreddit that came after me. Of course I'm going to laugh my ass off and do this right now. So this is sensible, seems sensible. You can be right about your nuances, and these are some of the best from the other side so far, but the problem still affects you because you have nothing to look forward to, and what can be worse than that? And Shogun 2, you advance as a player and gain more satisfaction from increasing difficulty in facing your challenge. In Warhammer, or any game with these problems, gameplay becomes a devolved, unbalanced, broken mess. As you graduate and progress in competency as a player, you're stuck with a casual, trivial challenge. Exactly, like I wouldn't change it now. I said it perfectly. And then look at this shit. Look, yeah, this fucking garbage here. So a sensible person turns up and tries to give some nuance to the situation. I acknowledge the nuance, and then I fucking and I stand by everything I've said here. Calling Warhammer 2 a broken mess is ridiculous. It's not. Look at this. This is flippant, but he's saying that the game is just a joke. And it's confirmed. Everyone on this thread confirms what I'm saying here. It's a broken fucking mess. Just read the comments. This is how far the conversation's progressed and developed. It is a broken fucking mess. Look at the gameplay of it. It's kind of ridiculous to think that the way CA balances higher difficulties is basically just removing the mechanics of Total War for the AI and making the only way to win being to basically just grind every unit into oblivion with range, magic, or single entity spam. You're not playing Total War Warhammer 2 as much as you're playing Total War single entity spam, magic, and artillery hammer 2. Broken fucking mess. And of course, back when I made this video, people just noticed the backspace exploit. And I was laughing about that too here. And then, look, if you don't like it, don't play it. Thought terminating cliche. Dishonesty. Like, I'm taking what he's saying on its own merits, which he isn't doing for me because he would agree with me, as everyone here does now, 8 months later. And he's just offering up platitudes now. If you don't like it, don't play it. And then I respond with, I don't. If you don't like my videos, don't watch them. If you don't like my comments, don't read them. If you don't like farts, don't sniff them. Brain dead. And I wouldn't change a single thing of what I said there. And then, of course, look, the gaslighting. Seething. Cringe word. It's a game. Calm down. Laugh my ass off. And all I did was type out something that I've typed out probably dozens of times by this point for other fanboys elsewhere. Yeah, it's just pathetic discourse from, what would you even call it? It's like flying monkeys from the shithole subreddit. just shitpost discourse, low tier, low bob argumentation. Yeah, so that's a good example. And then look at this, just the more of this shit, read the comments. Because the comments back then were still pretty early. I don't think I've been brigaded yet. This is the first people starting to swarm from the algorithm. And then eventually the algorithm brings me over to being posted on shithole subreddit and their discords and forums where there's fanboys that get butthurt easily. Just waiting to get butthurt, because of course this was all in the aftermath of Arch Warhammer setting them off, putting them on fucking DEFCON 1, so they're now just like a hive of hair-triggered little butthurt fucking easily agitated wimps, which is exactly what I realised as soon as they started trying to take me on, then running off to the subreddit to try and get back up. What the fuck? Cringe. Don't care looks cool. I think this was before don't care looks cool. If you're playing on Legendary, then you see the full weight of my criticisms, and that the gameplay is just a devolved clusterfuck with no semblance or meaning. If you play on normal and are only talking about normal, then you're basically just scouting everything I say, which is either silly or just dishonest. Yeah, so commercially more successful. Fuck off. Ugh, look at this, not even watching the video. Relinquished on the opportunity to dispute. Of course, once again, I wouldn't change anything of what I've said here and the way I've handled this whatsoever. Stand by every single thing I said or did to this day. Oh my god. Yeah, I like reading through my interactions, and yes, it's enjoyable. And also confirming that I wouldn't change anything of what I've said so far to anyone here. People complain about the campaign, which is fine, that's up to them, but I don't care. I really don't care that much. It's not like, if you want to play campaign, you should probably go with Rome Total War Medieval 2, where it has trait systems and actual development of towns, and you get attached to your characters in ways that we never have had ever since. But people are a tabula rasa, a blank slate, and they pick up a personality as the campaign goes on. You send them through the Balkans, through Macedon, and they'll pick up Vanquisher of that part of the map, and you give them a bad wife or give them a sister to fuck, and they'll have kids that have all these bad traits from being inbred and all this stuff. Like, it's a really good system. So people complaining about the campaign being boring, it's really rarely people that are fans of Rome and Medieval 2. Obviously there will be some, but these are Warhammer fanboys usually, or people that play 3K, saying that Shogun 2's campaign is boring. It's hard to really take this at face value. People like you are why 3K has a robust and carefully considered campaign with broken battles, which are supposed to be the whole point. It's a shame people don't seem to even understand what they're playing. Yeah. And of course, what I mean by that is, maybe you would want to play a grand strategy game instead. So I've made an argument about the battles, and people are talking about the campaign. It's more of not really acknowledging the issue. Obviously the title of the video says Shogun 2 is the best, or alludes to it. Or it was the last success at the very least, because of course I'm not writing off Medieval 2 and Rome, which are also good games, but what I'm doing here is saying that everything to come since Shogun 2 has fallen short of Shogun 2 because the battles have been shit. and nothing I've seen's changed my mind since. Still stand by the video, and now I'm being vindicated fully, pretty much. I mean, it looks like it. Look at this dishonest bullshit. Oh my god. It's just dishonest as fuck. So dishonest. Rome 2 is great. I don't know what people even see in Rome 2. I still don't really know why anyone ever even says that. It's just such a really hollow mess. A hollow, soulless, cobbled together. It's just it's like it's got so many bandages on it, it's like a fucking mummy. Warhammer is better. The video there is to be disputed. It's right in front of you, and that's all you can say. Alright. I don't agree with you. And of course, I'm pointing out that they're not actually addressing the issue. What is anyone supposed to get from these comments when people say this? It's completely vapid. It's devoid of any merit or meaning or value. It's just I called this hamster wheeling, I think. There's just a hamster running on a wheel in their head and churning out. It's just like they're automatons. The comment serves no purpose. It doesn't give me anything to work with. And then I rightly point out that it doesn't say anything. Look, let's just look at this actually. Warhammer's so good I don't agree with you, then I respond with, my arguments remain uncontested. Because that's what the video is. The video is an argument. Basically, I'm pointing out a shortcoming, a flaw, and then he starts talking about the fucking player base. But he does say unique units, but I've addressed that as well, because that's, I would think, a misconception, especially in the context of entire parts of the roster being redundant, which is what this guy, artillery spam, artillery hammer. So, removing the mechanics of Total War, magic, single entity spam ranged, so of course, it's been, my unit diversity video is being confirmed here in addition to my Total War's last success video. So I'm just being vindicated at every turn at this point. 3K patch 1.7 vindicated my critiques of 3K. This post vindicates my contentions with fake difficulty bullshit. Total War's last success. And then the comments are just... every turn I'm just being vindicated. And then appealing to... so he's doing everything he can to avoid addressing the actual issue. And that's really obvious. It's really obvious here. And then... because, look, he's had 2 comments and he hasn't once acknowledged anything that I've said in the video. None of the arguments have even been acknowledged. So it's an absurd interaction. It's really absurd. And then I point out, you could have left that comment on a video about making pancakes. All of my arguments remain uncontested. And he doesn't say anything else. That's it. It's over. The interaction ends there. So he has nothing. So he knew he had nothing and he still said this bullshit. Fucking worthless. And then look at this here. Oh my god. Fucking hell. Warhammer 2. And then people talk about, like, he doesn't acknowledge the argument either. None of them are acknowledging the arguments. It never happens. It almost never happens. I'm never being acknowledged. But now that I am, my arguments, my contentions are being acknowledged here. It's with agreement 8 months later. And of course, that's where my lad Kirk LA here, notice, like, he picked up on it. The vindication is just so fucking ripe. Like, my god. Oh my god. So he's scrolling it, he sees that it's got 2,600 upvotes and it just echoes my contention, and he's laughing his ass off. We're all laughing our fucking ass off. Only ever played in one tournament, and it was in 2013. I was runner-up. Yep. Yeah, and I acknowledge this as well. So this guy is actually trying to engage with arguments, but he's intentionally or otherwise ignoring the end of the video where I explain how Shogun 2 did this right. That's the thing, Shogun 2 already got this right, and the gameplay is there to be enjoyed by everyone, and I'm a good purveyor of that. So he's missing something, and he hasn't really. 17 replies though, so I'm sure I explain it more or less. Yeah, look at that. Arbitrary criticism. Yep, so I'm getting sick of this shit by now. People responding to the video where I've already, and yeah, look, this is it here. Look, this is where this guy gets, this fucking little wimp comes at me. And then I left that comment there after he talks about meeting me in real life, and he gets slapped down. All arguments in the video remain uncontested, and I stand by them. Yeah, it's just, this happened so many fucking times, and now, of course, so down here, it was completely different. I was just getting agreement and vindication. People were giving me their experiences where they've empathised with what I'm arguing. It's, how would you say it? It's, the video resonated with them, and they explain it and confirm it, and it's cathartic to have their frustrations be highlighted and see someone else that not only deals with the same thing but has taken the time to formalise it and articulate it, so they no longer feel a strange kind of frustration where it's like they're being gaslighted by the game that they've paid to play, where you try and get more challenge and you get less fun and more frustration, which is not how it should be. This is downright false. Warhammer 2 is by far the best Total War game ever created. So he's not even acknowledging the video, he's reading the video title. And yeah, yeah, look at this. You can't just call someone's argument false without actually addressing it. So he's not even watched the video. Or maybe he tried to and he couldn't follow it. I don't know, it's hard to really know what I'm dealing with here. Like, is this a 12-year-old or like what the fuck is going on? And I'm just like, changed his name, but I'm laughing at how I think he just, yeah, perfectly summed up. And of course, all the really nasty little fucking rats are not showing up because they've been filtered. I've showed a scroll through of those, but they don't show up on the actual video. And I rarely remove comments. They get filtered because, and that's something that would happen as well. People would get into arguments with me, and they would descend and devolve into just getting really butthurt and saying words that YouTube hates and getting filtered, and that would make them even more angry, and then they would just start accusing me of deleting comments and say that I'm angry. That's something that happened a lot. People would have their comments filtered by YouTube, assume that I was getting that they struck a nerve and that I was deleting the comments, when all that was happened is that they didn't know how YouTube's filter worked and they were getting frustrated at their inability to have comments stick around. It's just pretty funny, in fact. It's the complete opposite. It's amusing when they get it so wrong, and that happened a lot. So there's a lot of really strange confounding factors here. First of all, there's the fact that Arch Warhammer turned the shithole subreddit into a traumatized, PTSD-afflicted, hair-triggered mob of little wimps that are eager to, that are, what do you call it? They're just, like, they're really gung-ho. They're just hair-triggered. That's the only way to really put it. They're just super hair-triggered and agitated on a constant state of high alertness. For anyone that comes along and is forthright, they can't handle it. Yeah, look at this fucking shit here. Not acknowledging anything that I've said. Yeah. Fucking weird interaction. That's all you can really do when an interaction is that weird. Just mirror the weirdness. See how weird they're willing to go. Warhammer was good, disliked. Dishonest prick. Yep. Pretty awful video. And then, of course, I'm just taking this guy to task here. So, look at this. He's not acknowledging anything that I've said. This is just a copy-paste, cookie-cutter retort. Just, it's like I said, you know, you could have posted that on a video about pancakes. It's the same thing here. Doesn't address anything I've said. No arguments whatsoever. And he says here, you're full of shit, making up points for the sake of making a video. Sad. And look at how well that fucking aged. Look at that. Here's my made up point on the front of the shithole subreddit 8 months later. Look at how well that aged. Gotta love it. Gotta love that sweet vindication. Gotta love it. Opinion is just bias. Oh man, I really hate when people egg corn, or what's it called? A malapropism egg corn, where they don't even know what the word is and they just spell it how they hear it. Bias. Your opinion is just bias. Biased. American egg corn. Yeah, like not acknowledging anything I've said, refusing to engage with arguments, just commenting for the sake of it, waste of time. Wasting my fucking time. And yeah, this is what I've started to resort to now. So, a lot of people are, it's like they're incredulous, they're refusing to engage with the argument, but they still want to vehemently oppose what I'm saying in the video. So I'm just, I'm putting all my chips on the table, like, alright, I'm going all in, here's my video, produce anything like it, the Muslim apologetic when they're trying to say how good the Quran is, bring forth one that can match it, bring forth anything of its like, anything that can contest it in terms of its quality, like match its quality with something of your own making, go, and I get nothing. Jack fucking shit, fucking crickets, fucking tumbleweeds. And yeah, I start doing that here again. Like, I just say, I put out a call for save files for a video series where I showcase ambitious gameplay, and the composition of that entire playlist is just Shogun 2 constitutes the entire runtime of that playlist. And that's for someone that advocates 3K, which, of course, this is important to note, it isn't just Warhammer that falls prey to this shortcoming, this flaw. 3K has it bad as well. It's not even acknowledging the arguments. It's strange. To save people a half hour, he just says hitting combat modifiers repeatedly from 538 to 2718. Fair enough. I mean, he's not wrong. Yep, so... And then... So this was right after... This was before any smearing occurred. Like, nothing had happened yet by this point, presumably. I'm still in that Discord group, and I say, I'm in a Discord group with all the other YouTubers that play and upload these games, and when I brought up these issues in a feedback channel, hoping something would be done about it, the people there didn't affirm what I was saying. Instead, they usually tried to take me on and were making excuses for this, making out this was not an issue, or that I was complaining about things that were not important. So you can stick this shit right up your ass. And then... Yep, so what I'm trying to say here is that simply summing up the problem in a comment like this, or in a sentence like this, was insufficient for the purposes. I made this video to serve a purpose, to actually formalise it, and he's now complaining that I've dedicated a whole video to this problem, but now you've got this problem ending up on the front page of the shithole subreddit, so it seems like it was important enough to make a video out of, doesn't it? People consistently ignore the arguments in order to vent their butthurt. I'm not the one that moves the topic away from arguments. I'm laser focused on them. And then, I don't know what happened here. Someone came along, started commenting, and maybe I blocked them and then it deleted their comments, or maybe they deleted their own comments, or maybe their account closed. I don't know. Oh, wait, no. This is just me putting 3 comments in a row, adding more on each time. Yep. Yeah, I'm talking about people apologising to me for realising that they were wrong to contradict me on this, because, of course, I was right all along. You're forgetting they aren't trying to make better games, they're trying to make more money. The quality of the game is relevant. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about making money. I don't care about that at all. I only care about the games being good so I can do something with them, because I'm a YouTuber and I depend on the games being worth a fuck, worth a damn, because that's the kind of YouTuber I choose to be, the one that cares about gameplay. So I'm going to be talking about gameplay, or I'm going to be showcasing gameplay, one or the other. I don't give a fuck about this pathetic shit. And as I said, you're not a shareholder, you're not a board member, you don't give a fuck about this either. Why would you even say this shit? Why would you debase yourself by even thinking in this way? Come on, you buy the games, you play them, that's why you're watching videos on YouTube, that's how you found the video you're commenting on. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? My god. What kind of a mindset is this? Like, what happened to you for you to be willing to say this shit? Jesus Christ. What the fuck? It's a failure regression. Yeah, if it's inferior, it failed. Yep. Look, I disagree. I hate this word. Disagree. Agree. Disagree. How vapid. Say something. Don't say nothing, my god. Your points are valid. I disagree. Your points are valid. What the fuck? Look at that. So he leaves this comment, which is just worthless, and then I give some structure. Like I reframe the situation so he can see what he did, and then he immediately just backpedals. I should say your points are valid, but sorry, and then he apologises, which is fair enough. So, yep, he realised that he was just engaging in more of this shit here. Successful, look at this, my god. And then he does what I should be doing here. Look at this! More of this crap. LARPing as a shareholder or as a corporate board member when you're a pleb and trying to talk about sales instead of actual gameplay is cringe. Absolutely. Absolutely fucking sales. Oh my god. Oh my god. I should do this more often, just read through my old comment sections, Jesus. You keep shitting on people here as hamster wheeling when they disagree with you, which I think is kind of unconstructive. No, isn't it extremely constructive? I'm constructing their brains up from just being vapid garbage that engage in dishonesty. That's extremely constructive. I mean, it's one of the most constructive things you can do to point out to someone that they're behaving in a way that's just absolutely pathetic and contemptible. People, people should be commended for whenever they do that, whenever they're right about doing that, whenever they're brave and bold enough to do that. Unconstructive, what the fuck? Dude is psychotic. Oh my god. Dude is even talking down on Empire, what the fuck? Yep, abandonware, broken abandonware to this day. Needs Darth mod to make it worth playing to anyone whatsoever. My god, like one of the worst games in the series, and I'm talking down on it, like no shit. Even the most stalwart Total War fans talk down on that because it's one of the worst Total War fucking games. Everyone talks down on fucking Empire and always will until it gets patched to actually work properly. Peak with sales was Warhammer 2 though, and then I of course talk about how ridiculous this is. Think about how weird it is that we're in 2021, people are making critiques about games and how they've failed in the only way that matters to everyone that plays them, the gameplay, and how the gameplay holds up, and people start talking about fucking sales. What the fuck? Do people do that when movie critics talk about films being bad? Like when a movie critic says, just imagine, alright, just think for a second with me. A movie critic starts to talk about, oh, what's a good example? Like a really big blockbuster movie that was shit, that has like no real merit, like just a really worthless action movie that I'm so good at just forgetting about the bad ones, but just think about some action movie that is just really surface and superficial, and when you really think about it, it's terrible. It doesn't really do much well, and then a critic comes along and points that out, or even just points out one of its worst flaws that's really glaring and just cripples enjoyment for series moviegoers, and then someone comments on his blog and says, but it had the most sales of its entire series. It sold more than the previous two films in the trilogy. What the fuck? Who gives a shit? What are you doing here? Why are you saying that? It's just bizarre. It's such a strange thing. Yeah, and then people are bringing up other critiques. What the fuck? Arrogant. I hate when people use the word arrogant as well, because it's not like I'm really claiming anything about myself at any point here, and anything I do claim about myself I can demonstrate, so arrogance, overestimation of your own worth or abilities, I've never really engaged in that. I just point out what I've done and what I can do. I mean, I spend a lot of time on this comment section linking my impossible battles, which show that I know what I'm talking about, and it's on that basis that I talk. So, and there's no acknowledgement of that here. Like, this person says that I come off as, so they don't even know who I am, and I don't recognise them whatsoever. And then, of course, I don't even know what the fuck this means. I don't remember even reading this whatsoever. Cringe. And then more of these comments, like, talking about sales, talking about just playing normal. It's just all avoiding the issue. They're not acknowledging the issue, which is just pathetic. Don't buy the games if you hate them so much. Yeah, no shit, jackass. I mean, what do you think, I'm going to keep buying these fucking things? Nice smooth brain thought terminating cliche that couldn't have missed the mark anymore if you tried. Pathetic fucking shit. You make very valid points, but I feel the title is over clickbaity and quite simply incorrect. And then it goes into... So I'm pointing out a fundamental problem with the design of these games, which is... Look at that, confirmed. And to the extent that it can ever be confirmed, here it is, being confirmed right here. And... yeah, clickbait, fucking hell. Yeah, so the past 8 months has seen the conversation shift substantially, to the extent that now Warhammer's reputation doesn't really look that good anymore. Like, it was getting a free pass for years for its laziness and its bad mechanics, but now it's like, if you shill for Warhammer on the shithole subreddit, it isn't really going to go down that well. It's not. It's like the illusion has been shattered. People know that there are Total War players that are competent and educated and have integrity, that are willing to stand by Shogun 2 and make arguments that are solid and that hold up well, and they're doing it. So... yeah, if someone claims Total War's last success was 8 years ago in April 2021, that goes down quite well now, I have to say. That goes down really quite well. Because the don't care looks cool factor has been highlighted, drawn out into the open. Yep, Rome 2 broke sales records too. McDonald's sells more burgers than anywhere else. What other things? Yeah, like cars sell that turn into fireballs, that haven't had security and insurance features properly gone through. Who gives a fuck about sales? Definitely not you. Like, that's the thing. That's the worst thing about this. These people do not care about sales until you criticise a game they don't like, and then it becomes a hamster wheel mental refuge for them that they can hide behind. Oh, look at this, look at this. This is really good here. So, this is one of the acknowledgements. I've had a lot of people that have noticed this since. Like, there's comments on when I'm making videos calling out the absolute state of Total War and how bad the discourse is and how dishonest people are. Car going past. Because it's 3 PM. Yep. So when I made that video where I was basically just calling out the whole situation, the absolute state of just all of this, I had a lot of people comment and say, yeah, I really noticed that people were not actually responding to your arguments. They were just ignoring the arguments in order to leave platitudes and thought-terminating cliches or talk about sales. A lot of people have noticed this, and it looks really bad. It's really embarrassing for these people that they behave like this. It's like so if this video is to serve any purpose, it's to confirm how rotten things at the very least were, and to a large extent, of course, still are. This is a really unhealthy, rotten situation. And people picked up on it. And 7 months ago, like, after this video went up, within days, people were picking up on it. People were scrolling these comments and noticing that I was dealing with just dishonest, pathetic shit at every turn. So much of it. Total War boomer, and I don't even need to read the rest of that crap. You're entitled to your onion comment. That's just your opinion, man. That's just your opinion, man. People talking about... This is another one. People talking about multiplayer when no one gives a shit about it. Even CA doesn't give a shit about it. They assign a budget of 0 to multiplayer, and it looks like they always will. You have been hung out to dry if you're pinning yourself on the future of Total War's multiplayer, unfortunately. And if you're going to be associated with Total War multiplayer, you really should do what I do and just focus on Shogun 2, where they actually put effort into it. Sad as it is. Look at this shit here. Like, see this? See when I'm saying something like this? this is a really incisive phrase that I've had to repeat a few times. Muddying the waters with the irrelevancy of disagreement is extremely repulsive and dishonest, which is. Let's see the way these people argue. There's a lot of people that have a way to argue that is just really, really dishonest and low. And yeah, like someone, I don't know if this is a shill, like LARPing as a concerned pedestrian, but yeah, like I correctly point out, my hostility is the only appropriate response to the complete lack of honesty and integrity I'm getting. And remember, I've got a lot of comments that are just being filtered that aren't even showing up here, but I'm still aware of them. I still see them coming in. I see them coming in minutes apart. I know that my video is getting linked in some right shitholes, and I can tell when I'm getting brigaded. It's fucking obvious. And then people, and yeah, like the irrelevancy of disagreement, people calling me a content creator, like that fucking means anything worth a damn to me whatsoever. Cringe term. Do not impose that disgusting corporate speak up on me whatsoever. Fuck off with that. Don't ever call me that. Man testing as a content creator, I'm a fucking person that has ideas, that makes videos that I put effort into. And for anyone else for whom that's true, dispense of this cringe term. Don't have it. Reject it. Reductionist fucking corporate speak capitalist fucking garbage. Fuck off. Look at this, more of it. So there's so much of this, it just never ends. I'm up about 2/3 of the way. And yeah, like, all these... See all these fucking idiots saying sales or most successful game? I was right all along. And, yeah. I'm just taking this victory lap. Running my victory laps whenever I can. And thanks to whoever it was that brought it to my attention. AM Kirk LA. Nice to see. Always nice to see. And if you were there with me, arguing with these plonkers when this was going on, hopefully you'll appreciate likewise being vindicated. Alright. 80 minutes. So, yeah, 80 minutes of complaining about Testudo. How about 80 minutes of complaining about dishonest bullshit comments, which I've now been completely absolved of. I can wash my hands of all that bullshit now because finally I can consider myself vindicated entirely. Alright, I'm out.